Hello, welcome to experience my hike up Canyon Creek Trailhead to Boulder Creek Lakes in the Trinity Alps wilderness area. Just before the trailhead is Ripstein Campground area, which is a free campground. There's pit toilets, there's trash facilities and tables, but no running water other than the creek. As you go further up, this is Canyon Creek Trailhead. Almost 30 years ago, they paved the parking lot, which makes it easier to use. Usually on big holidays, the place gets mobbed, but there are very few people here. We were just a couple of days before Labor Day. The mosquitoes have recently taken a liking to Ripstein Campground in this area, so if you come in the middle of summer, be prepared somewhat for that. As you get higher up, it's not as much of a problem. On the far side of the parking lot, and also above the privy, is a trail going up to the main trail. The two go into one, so you can take either one and you'll get there. As you go up, there'll be a sign to the right towards Bear Creek Trail, and that's usually not taken. Bear Creek divides into four parts where you pass it there. When Canyon Creek Trail, you go over it in one little pace. It's sort of a long haul. It will get you eventually to Stewart Fork Trailhead, but a lot of uphill. Especially if you go early in the year, there's going to be a steep thing of snow up Bear Creek, and it would be hard to get past. But as you can see up ahead, there's a little sign there at the beginning of the trail. Sometimes on holidays they have a volunteer just checking out to see how many people are there. Canyon Creek left turn. As you turn left, you'll see the sign that talks about the sinks, Canyon Creek Lakes, and Boulder Creek Lakes 9 miles ahead. And there's just past that is a sign for the Trinity Alps Wilderness. I've seen that sign knocked down by trees in the wintertime. But it's a nice beginning of a hike, and it's a beautiful place. I've been there all times of the year. I'd like to share some of the winter scenes of the places you'll see in the summer, so you can see if you go in different times of the year. It's a different hike. You have different scenery, and you have different things you hike over. So where is Canyon Creek Trailhead? Well, you go off Junction City, a small town, which is off the Highway 299, and Highway 299 goes from Highway 101 in Arcata to I-5 in Redding, and beyond that. But about 8 miles west of Weaverville is a small town, Junction City. If in that town, there's a road, Canyon Creek Road, and you go up that about 13 miles, and the road ends at the trailhead. That's where you park and start doing your hiking. After going a small ways, you'll start seeing where the ground is moist and the vegetation's a little greener as you're getting close to a spring by Bear Creek. You cross Bear Creek. This time of year you can just sort of walk over rocks. Other time of year you may have to hop over big rocks or just wade through the water. It's not that bad now, but in wintertime it can be a cold obstacle on your way. In the spring, I've seen a woman carrying her boots with her hands as she was wading through the water. She slipped, dropped one of the boots, and it went downstream. Fortunately, we were able to retrieve it, but it does give a warning if you're crossing creeks. You want to tie your boots firmly to your pack and not just have them in your hand. The same with taking pictures. You may want to put your camera away. The first part of the trail isn't too steep, but there are some parts that are a little bit steep. In about March, water's coming down this old gully. The trail goes there, but this is usually a nice little spot to take a break. And you can hear Canyon Creek, and there's a few logs there that cross the creek. So to the left is sort of the first good campsites along here before the lower falls. And up that hill where there's trees, there's usually a few waterfalls coming down there in the spring. Some of the small waterfalls as seen on other trips to that area. The left goes to the sinks, the right, where the sign says trail, goes up Canyon Creek, which goes by the lower falls, but there's other stops before that. Often there's avalanches here and heavy snow years. If you're hiking up here in the spring and it's been a high snow year, you might find a big pile of snow across the trail from an avalanche or something that hasn't totally melted away. There haven't been any recently because there's not a lot of trees knocked down. Here's one from a while ago. Coming up the trail above or below the lower falls. This is looking up the trail. This crosses the trail 3 times. Sometimes in winter it's a challenge to get up there. This same water crosses the trail 3 times. It looks like we're just above the Poison Oak line. I don't see it here, but further down the trail there is some. Part of what I really like about Boulder Creek Lakes is that they're relatively shallow, so in the summer they warm up quite a bit, so it makes a great swimming lake. Though usually by July they're nice and warm, but if it was a heavy snow year and there's a patch of snow left, they won't be as warm. In August, they're still great. In September, yeah, but as the days get shorter, there's less time for the sun to be keeping them warm. Canyon Creek Lakes and Canyon Creek itself is quite a bit colder. A little bit further and ahead towards the left is the lower part of Lower Canyon Creek Falls. Usually people don't even see that. They see the other part that they call Lower Falls. And with all the shrubs growing, it is harder to see. Earlier in the year when there's more water, it's a little easier to see. I'll show more pictures of them in a little bit. Now in the distance, there is some waterfall. Sort of hard to see because of the trees. It's part of the lower falls, but the lower falls you see in the trail is not as big as that. This is the third and last time that we cross that bit of water coming down from the hill along the trail. The lower part of the lower falls. This is usually referred to as the lower falls. You can walk across there, and there's a pretty deep pool if you wanted to jump in the cool water on a hot day. This is coming up the trail. A couple of big rocks here. If you were here and there was a storm or rain or hailstorm, or in the winter and there's an avalanche, you could get in here and be protected from the weather. Looks like someone did that and had a fire here. And there's the other rock right over here. It's not as big of anything, but there's still overhang. If someone had the other rock, you could lay under there. And then when you're there, you are right above the creek. So there are some regular camping sites down here. Actually nice campsites. People have had a fire here. A tree that got stuck there. And then as you go down to the creek, there's this nice slab of granite that goes in the water, so you don't really need to get mucky or honestly you're slipping on rocks or sand. And you just walk down a nice rock thing where there's some sand. And there's Canyon Creek's pretty level around here for a while. Here is that rock in the winter with snow around where it could serve a purpose. As you come up Canyon Creek trailhead in later spring, it's full of dogwood trees blooming all over it. They're very beautiful. If you go up another month after this trip was taken, there's going to be a lot of the leaves of the dogwood trees are going to turn a bright red, and that's really impressive also. It's really nice to see. Now there's often water in this whole thing here. At least earlier in the year. May not be there right now. And then, yeah, the Smith Rocks is up there. Smith Lake, excuse me. Smith Rocks is somewhere in Oregon. Smith Lakes is a lake with no trail to it. Nice little lake, but not that easy to get to. This is a campsite in this
area. Just the verge to show there are a lot of nice places to camp here, even if there are other people. And there is a place to go down to the water right there. So it's one of many nice places. And from here you could hike to Boulder Creek Lakes or Canyon Creek Lakes or just hang out.
I do need to give a disclaimer here because, like, according to the book, Linkhart's book, he says the last half miles of the trail up to Boulder Creek Lakes is the roughest, steepest trail in the turn of the Alps. And I sort of agree with that. Even before that, a lot of the shrubbery is overgrown. It's very steep. There's a lot of rocks. It's certainly not an easy trail. It's not a beginner's trail. So you need to be aware of that, decide if you really want to do that or if you just want to dedicate, you know, have a whole day to go there and camp right below it or something like that. Or you could just enjoy the area around Canyon Creek. There's a lot of beautiful places, especially like by the upper falls.
It's not that easy to read.
Yes, the sign is not well maintained at all, but turning left
Straight and right
goes to Boulder Creek Lakes, going
to Boulder
straight
Creek
towards
Lakes
the
and
right
Upper
goes to the
Falls.
Canyon Creek Lakes
You go
and the
straight
Upper
across
Falls.
There, go to Boulder Creek Lakes.
That is looking above where Boulder Creek Lakes is. We'll see it more closer, but I didn't take extensive photos of the hiking up the steep area because I needed to focus on making the right steps, and there was too much brush to get good photos anyway.
Trail. There's different ways. People often wade. I'm going to go to some rocks that I've jumped on in winter that's helped. But they're not the easiest way either. Right here may not be too bad, but I'm going to have to come down here and show you these rocks that have worked well, but they're a bit of a jump. Those rocks there. Now see, they're pretty high, so the water can be pretty high and you can jump them. But if your knees are at all shaky, it might not be a good idea to do that.
I have topped across these rocks in the winter when the water was pretty high. I don't really recommend it though, because if you slip, you're right by the top of the middle falls, and I've heard that 6 people have died going over the falls. So be very careful crossing Canyon Creek in this area. There are some great views of the canyon from up here, and you can see part of the upper part of the middle falls from up top. Then we got back on the trail and started heading up towards Boulder Creek Lakes, and this sign lets you know you're in the right direction. After going up a steep, brushy hillside, you can see Boulder Creek Lakes in the distance on the other side of that little canyon there. From here on over towards the lakes, you follow little rock piles to guide you where to go, because it's not like that much of a trail and you're walking across rocks. You couldn't really see other steps too well. Boulder Creek Lakes is behind that wall of rock and granite that you can see. And there's like a frozen waterfall coming out of it, but that's the output of Boulder Creek Lakes. You have to go through a little bit of brush in order to get to the slight stream crossing to get to Boulder Creek Lakes. And there's a lot, that water is coming from higher up the mountain. A place called Forbidden Lake. It's This is a great place to hang out and swim in the summertime. The lake does warm up. Today it was cloud cover, so I didn't really want to go in the water, but usually it's a great swimming lake. You should only consider going up something like this in the wintertime if you've had a fair amount of snow climbing experience and a basic avalanche knowledge, because Canyon Creek is steep on the sides. If there's a really heavy snow, it will all come down in avalanche, but it doesn't even happen every year like that. And once it's down, it's down. There's nothing more that can come down at you. This is my favorite spot on the lake. There's a couple other good ones also, but this is away from where the trail first meets the lake, so there's less people there. It's a nice smooth piece of granite you can lay on or walk in the water, and it goes under the water, so and then jump in the deeper spot. Or if you're getting out of the water, you can swim over to the shallow part and hop off. And there's a few trees to give you nice shade. It looks like a couple of them just blew over this year, which is unfortunate because it takes years for trees to grow at that elevation. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of what I come up with, please hit the subscribe button. After this is the trip in. Then we walked out that night. Made it in and out in one day. It said it gets old walking out all the way, but that's what we planned on, so that's what we did.